The man claimed to be God, and you said nothing.
Okay, so our next question asks, did Jesus really ever say that he is God? And the answer, this is an easy answer. The answer is absolutely yes. More than one time, Jesus tells us that he is God himself. Jesus allows people to worship him, something that is only reserved for God. And after the resurrection, when Thomas sees Jesus alive, in John chapter 20, verse 28, after he reaches out and he touches Jesus, he says, "My Lord and my God." He's proclaiming Jesus, Lord and God. And Jesus receives that from him. He doesn't stop him from saying that at all. But let's look at my favorite account of Jesus saying that he's God. So in John 10, a crowd starts to gather all around Jesus, and they say, "Tell us if you're the Messiah." And in verse 30, Jesus says this. He says, "I and the Father are one." And what that means is we are equal, we are co-equal, we are of the same substance. And immediately the people pick up stones to kill him. They're going to stone him to death. And then when Jesus asks why they want to stone him, in verse 33 it says this, and we have to listen to this really carefully. They say, "We are not stoning you for any good work," so nothing he did, "but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God."
Because you have repeatedly prophesied falsely and have offered no denial or renouncement of your blasphemous claims, there is no need to escalate this to the authorities. Do you stand by all that you said?
I think I was pretty clear.
As from the law of Moses, whose life and words you have spat upon today. Your sentence is death.
So the people standing right in front of Jesus, hearing him speak in his own voice, in their own language, in their own dialect, understood him to be saying, "I am God." And so their law calls for him to be stoned to death, to be killed instantly for claiming to be God. They say, because you, a mere man, they didn't believe what he said. They didn't believe he was God, claimed to be God. So yes, Jesus himself makes the claim that he is God. And so they felt, since they didn't believe him, they're required to stone him to death. But throughout his ministry, Jesus makes the claim to be God, including when he says that he can forgive sin. And we know that only God can forgive sin. The disciples worship Jesus in the boat when he calms the storm. And in the book of Revelation, he's called the Alpha and the Omega. Jesus is called the Alpha and the Omega. And that's a term reserved only for God himself. So yes, without a doubt, there is no question that Jesus claimed to be God and showed himself to be God by raising the dead, and then ultimately by dying on the cross to forgive our sin. Only God can forgive sin. And then overcoming death by rising from the dead 3 days later. So what really matters for each person is, how do we receive that? How do we receive the fact that Jesus said he's God? Are we going to be like the people who heard Jesus in his own language, in their own dialect, and refuse to believe it? That's amazing that they could hear him say it and still refuse to believe it. Or do we do like the original disciples, those original followers, and all followers of Jesus after? Do we place our trust in Jesus and his words and just follow him because that's who he said he was? All right, so send in your questions. We'll be answering those every week as we look at different topics and discuss different events happening in the world and see what the Bible says about them. We'll see you next time.